Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live today. Is October. I almost went back in time, bended with the time machine. It almost happened, but it is October 6, 2023. We got jobs data, the jobs data that people still have jobs, yet in some capacity, they're making less money, and that is still not good enough for said market. What
Have
did
you
we
figured
do?
out where these jobs are at?
Well, I was
I know you have
confused.
some theories.
I was confused until you opened up the casino, and then it's like, and then at that point, it's like, yeah, no, that's where they're at. You get lathered up by a businessman. You get you, yeah, a lot of stuff going on over there, man. A lot of stuff over there going on. I think your casino is basically what is skewing the numbers, is what I believe.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
I think numbers skewed, big skew, massive skew. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about it, man. It's like it all seems pretty freaking lame to me. At the end of the day, it really, really does. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. We do know that I threw a borderline hissy fit yesterday at just algo trash being offered everywhere, just straight up algo trash. That was yesterday. Flow was unintelligible, nonsensical in a lot of ways. So when you walk into, again, we walk into a lot of days that are just like, what the fucking fuck? Um, we're kind of set up for a pretty fucking big meltdown if the VIX and dollar want to get all buckish. Now, the reprieve in a lot of ways, Bender and Sonny, was the dollar kind of drifting down the way it did, and that falling wedge that it was doing, and that wedge kept on falling, and then it was like, okay, well, data's going to come out in like a couple hours, so let me start stretching up a little bit, and now we have the dollar playing bang to the upside. Now we have the VIX up 7.5%. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? Right now, the
What
dollar
do you
coming
do?
is coming into resistance on the 1 hour. This is resistance on the dollar on the 1 hour. Is this enough to make it go boom? It's like, I don't know. I honestly really have no idea what to think at this point regarding um, the markets. I really don't. I don't know what they want. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know, Bender. In a lot of ways, when I think about it, it's like, so what? Are we going to 420, maybe 412 ish, just maybe 408, somewhere there on SPY? Or are we 380ing it? And then it's just like anything between now and then over the next 30 days is all for naught. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing? Are we there, or are we gonna go do that, sub 400 bullshit?
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit pre-market, and
Hmm.
you know, again, we'll see. I sent you that note yesterday saying if the lows wasn't put in on Wednesday or doesn't get put in today, then I think. And again, I said this yesterday. Then I think there's a good chance that it happens tomorrow, being today. Reasonable chance. Again, sticking with the wait for market structure shift on longer time frame to confirm, it, at this point has kept me out of trouble, right?
Hmm.
So I'll continue to look for that, and looking for the signs intraday. We were certainly making progress yesterday. We got two really nice trades off of market structure shifts on shorter time frames, which we can continue to try to scalp up or down while we wait for that longer term shift. Now, I don't try to interpret data. So,
I do.
if I know you
I,
do.
I do, and it makes sense that the dollar up against the global community would continue to hold strength. It would make sense that when you have a jobs number like the way you do, and you get the manufacturing coming in the way it does, and you get everything else coming in the way it does, that the dollar maintains levels of strength. But to the point that it bludgeons the equity markets, it's like there's a trade going on right now, and I think that we're stuck in the middle of a trade to where, the 10-year and the dollar, let's smack it as much as we can. It's like watching Tilray to the upside, or GME to the upside, AMC, when those things go. There's just a trade on right now. And so
Yep.
it's regardless of the fundamentals, regardless of the realities, it's like when you get enough people saying that the 10 years is going to go to a trillion, that are looking in that direction, and they're pumping the articles and they're doing it, you're going to get that move in that direction. The question is when does that cool? Now they look, it's like, relatively speaking, regarding the dollar, what have we done? We made a high this week. We came down and checked into a flag or a falling wedge. Now we're right back up into this little resistance area on the dollar. What It's like, okay, we get it, but it's a trade. There is nothing fundamental about any of this other than Brad, Chad, and Thad saying trade. That's it. That's my that's where I'm at. So I got to look for them to get off the trade. I think TLT flow today will be important as far as understanding the trade. That will be very important. Very, very important. So we'll see how it shakes. Tesla price action, I think, is also going to be important because they lowered prices of their vehicles again. And you know how they like to react. They're like, oh, well, they lower the price of vehicles, so they make no money. When the reality is all they're doing is gaining market share for you know, their cars that are more like phones when it comes to service revenue. So I don't know that any other automaker can compete with that. Don't know that any other technology company can really compete with that other than Apple in a lot of ways. So let's play ball. It's like there is nothing broken about anything going on other than they want to put a trade on. So here we go. Trade. Fucking hate
There
them.
we go. Yeah. Well, talking about the dollar, speaking of the dollar, here's a quick chart, just bigger picture view of where it's at. You can see this daily fair value gap in here, that essentially it came down, filled that in after taking this high. Question remains, does it want to go for this one, or are we done? And the truthful answer is, I don't know. Right? We got these two candles down right here. We've got a fair value gap in between those two. And I would say that at this point, we're waiting for it either to break this candle's low or push through high a day. That would put it through that daily fair value gap. And then we can kind of see where it goes from there. But I think just bigger picture on the ducket, I think over the next session or two, this is what I'm watching. I want to see if it pushes through here and we get a daily close above that, then we got to look at these candles highs. And if it gets through that, we got to look at this high all the way up here, 108.02. If it breaks through this to the downside, takes out this candle's low right here, 106.05. And I think we got a chance at taking this 105.66, which, if we're looking at market structure shift to the downside, you had this swing low, buyers stepped in and pushed it up. If it breaks this low here on the daily, that would look like a market structure shift on the daily. Notice how none of these candles came down below this low, kind of that wick there, or this right in here. So now we've had buyers step in and push it above that previous resistance level. And it's like, okay, until we get that market structure shift lower, dollar is still in a uptrend, filling this daily fair value gap and pushing up from that. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Let's take a look at the ES daily, just to get a bigger picture sense of kind of where we're at. There's not a whole lot, as far as we had this fair value gap here on the daily that had filled on the way up. We had this little swing low right here, but that's been now taken, right? This low right here, a couple days of selling, and then boom, that comes in down at 42.04. Just zooming out a little bit further real quick. Look at the weekly. Had our trend line there that we are operating below. Don't see any fair value gaps in here on the weekly. We could look at SPX to see what might be there, but I don't see anything in there on the weekly, and not really anything on the monthly either. Zoom into we'll start zooming in here. This is 4 hour, just showing that low that was made at, 2 o'clock this morning. We've got that level right there, 42.3625. Let's go 60 minutes. This shaded box right here, I think that was a 15-minute fair value gap. Yeah. So you got a 15-minute fair value gap in here. Watch these 15-minute candles and see if they continue to respect this and use this level as support. If not, if we get a 15-minute candle close down here, probably take out that low. And honestly, if you're waiting for a 15-minute candle, it'll probably have already taken that out by the time that it crosses that, right? So let's look at the 5-minute. And you can see quite a bit bigger fair value gap there on the 5-minute. I want to see if it kind of keeps respecting this level in here, or if it gives that up and that this area right here becomes resistance, then I'd watch 42.35 half, see if you get a reaction there. Because if that gives, then we're looking at these lows down here, which look pretty appetizing, right? If you're looking to take out stops and draw liquidity, if they really want to make it hurt. That comes in just above 4,200 is where these sit. So as far as downside moves, that's kind of what we got in play. As far as upside potential, you can see this little right here. I would say on a 60-minute chart, that's close enough to relative equal highs. Took that out by a tick, but there's a lot of liquidity sitting up in here that ripe for the taking, right? If they do decide that, okay, well, the data that came out, you imagine the cheaters already knew, so potentially sets up, possible trap.
The ones playing the dollar definitely knew. That was a controlled sell down on the dollar with that falling wedge yesterday and overnight. And then they started moving it up, coming into data. It's like the cheaters absolutely knew regarding the dollar. I don't think there was any doubt about that.
Well, what I'm saying, I guess, is that, if the cheaters knew and they knew this was coming, and you look at, the ES and kind of this downtrend that we've been in, it's like, okay, if they were selling this down, knowing that this was coming, right? if that is the case, then, and if this is possibly the last day of it, because they already knew what the data was, then, yesterday, today may be used to trap shorts. Possible, right? I look at this as sometimes there's data that comes out that's so bad that it's like, it's far worse than expected. And the selling doesn't stop. Just keep selling, right? And then there's other scenarios where it's like, yeah, they knew exactly what was coming and they'll make it sound really bad, or vice versa, sound really good as a way to trap, then longs get trapped. Chasers. I don't know what the scenario is today. We'll see. Again, we'll play it on the shorter time frames, be looking for those clues, try to pick up on some more of that. Be patient and kind of see where they wanted to take us. Looking at the 5 minute here, above 42.61.5 takes us into this massive 5 minute down candle that we had. I'm going to split this candle up like so, and just kind of get the midpoint of it, 42.71.25. So we push up above 61.5. Next level I would look at, see what kind of reaction comes, if any, is 42.71.25. On top of that, let's look at just this high, this low, so we can get the midpoint of the entire day thus far. 42.73.75. So kind of right in here, I think, is where the continued bounce, kind of right in here is where I think the decision has to be made on what they're going to do with it. It gets above that and it can use that as support. It can take all this back. Top of this 5 minute fair value gap, 42.91.5. But see what it does right in this 71 to 73 area. If it gets up here, this is kind of head on a swivel. Decision time right in there. So 42.25 below that, we can see some of the levels we pointed out, lower. We can hold 42.61.5, take that and hold it. Probably go up and test this midpoint, see what we do from there. I think that's about all I got on the ES. We covered the dollar. And I think NQ, I wasn't drawing lines on NQ this morning because I was already trading ES, so I didn't have time to go through and draw these lines, but same picture. Midpoint of this 5 minute candle, just so you have that level, 14.780.75. 730.25 takes it above that candle's high, and the low being 14.660.5. And with that, pass it to Sun.
What you got there, Sonny?
We got lots of news. Should I get started? All right, so we heard about this yesterday. ExxonMobil is looking to buy PXD, deal worth about $60 billion.
Wow.
Yeah,
PXD, we traded a lot. I did not see that coming.
And this has been rumored quite a few times now. I think this was also rumored back in March and April. So let's see if this time it goes through.
I don't see that CEO selling, but maybe.
Yeah. Hell's already covered by the Tesla lowering the Model 3 and Model Y prices in the US. And again, the hit piece is, economic uncertainty, slow demand impacting profit margins. But it sucks for the people who bought it last week. And Tesla doesn't do price adjustment once they sold it to you.
Well, look, man, it's like I buy I buy steaks all the time, right? And then
steak is not a $30,000 car or $70,000 car.
But percentage-wise, it's about the same. It's like some days that same $13.99 steak is $9.99.
Uh-huh.
So it's like I don't get to go back and be like, oh, well, it is what it is. It's like people need to shut the fuck up.
Uh-huh.
You get what you get.
Okay. You done?
For now.
Okay. OpenAI is planning to develop their own AI chips. They join other, like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, a few other companies that have already come out with they're going to start making their own AI chips. And it's basically they all go back to TSM to make the AI chips for them. They just white label it and call their own. On the streaming side, so NBA is preparing for the next deal for broadcasting. They're looking at Comcast, Google, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, and Netflix. They're more focused on the streaming platform for live sports and things like that. Uh, Having said that, so look into like Para, WBD, and the shit stock Fubo that we used to play quite a bit last year may get some movement in it. So definitely something to watch if you see some volume come into it. I spoke something about this yesterday also, like, countries going after megatech, finding them because they're too good or they're dominant and because they have a good product. The latest to join is South Korea is going after Google and Apple for app market dominance. I'm like, who the fuck else does apps? There's only two phone platforms. So they're looking to fines up to like $50 million for each. MGM, so the big hack that happened with Caesars that they never told anyone, and MGM got hacked, and all the casino, all the properties were offline for 5-6 days. So they're saying they're gonna be losing about the impact is about $100 million, and it's a headline thing because most of this is gonna get paid out by insurance, anyways, that they carry, and so they're saying, hey, don't worry, Q4 we're gonna come back stronger, and we'll be made whole on this whole thing that happened. So yeah, no, don't worry about it. BMW CFO warns that the EU investigation into the flood of Chinese cars coming into EU is going to have a negative impact or could have a negative impact because they're all scared of China retaliating. And Germany, the German cars, BMW, Mercedes, the China is the biggest market for them. So they're starting to put out statements. Hey, don't be careful with the subsidies and all the tariffs that you want to do. So watch out for flow on the China EV names: Neo, Li, XPEV, and Baidu. Moving to upgrades: FSLR, Piper Sandler, Overweight, TMUS, STZ, SHLS. So this is solar name, and we've seen quite a bit of activity coming into the solar names the past few days. MPLX and Disney. Bernstein initiates coverage, outperform rating with price target of 103 on Disney. Uh, Downgrades ORLY. Uh, we saw downgrades coming into the other auto part makers the last couple of days. And the other big one I saw, and a lot of people were into this, DPZ is another one that got downgraded, but Barclays underweight. Event wise, so we have NewScale, which is SMR. They have the analyst event today. TSM numbers already came out. I posted them. And CYTK, they are at a scientific meeting starting at 1 p.m. EST. Dark pool wise, we did get some large dark pool into LSCC, that is Lattice Semiconductors. Megatechs, nothing major. Uh, uh, BMBL, MTCH, nice dark pools, 18% and 12% in it. And I'm trying to see anything else that came out. And oh yeah, XLU, 19% of the 30-day average volume. And that's about it. Wake up.
And that's about it. That was abrupt.
Well, I did the dark pools last. So did the dark pools.
Yeah. All right. We have about 15 minutes until open. Let's just try to be wise, is the best I can say. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's like would it be nice if the low was in for the day and we can go rally and be like, oh yay. Let's see what they do. Let's see what Flow says. Let's see how these charts set up. It's like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't. So what's funny, Bender, is it's like I want to sit here and be like, well, I think this, and then before I can get the words out of my mouth, it's like, this is just fucking stupid. This whole thing is fucking stupid. So I don't think I'm going to thinking about something that is fucking stupid. So those are my thoughts. Fair? Good. Glad we had this chat. That's all I got.
I'm on mute. Just play the chart. Take the other shit out. That's
Dude,
it.
it's like playing the chart yesterday would have gotten, other than those couple little market structure shift type things, would have gotten you just fucking chewed up. Just chewed
That's not
the
true.
fuck up with dumb shit.
I took 2 trades yesterday. I
that
put
were
them
based
both
off
out.
of market. Well, it's like we had 2 quote unquote market structure shifts, right? So it's like, I'm not taking away from your trading yesterday. Your trading was great. What I'm saying is that the last hour and a half of the day, they basically just made it a fucking slop fest.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. Yesterday was one of those days where it was like, exercise patience. Same thing goes today. You got to be extremely careful. You got to have those stops in right when you take the trade, because you never know when that 30-point candle, they did a lot of that yesterday, right? We were talking about it like move up, move up, move up, bam, take it all out. Oh, but then it's going to bounce and it's going to move up a little bit more, and then maybe another candle up, and then bam, take some of that out. But it was still inching higher. It's not easy.
Until it didn't, until it gave back in the last part of the day, basically half of whatever it walked.
Yeah.
In a very, very retarded fashion. Very
Well,
retarded.
So if the price action is such that doesn't make any sense to you, I mean, we talk about that all the time.
One of us has to be here one of us has to be here on the mic doing something. So it's
but it doesn't mean you got to push a button, right?
If I'm sitting here staring at shit, it's like, for fuck's sake, man. Maybe we'll take shifts. Maybe we'll do that. All right, 11 minutes. 11 minutes.
All right. See you in a few.